Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here, welcome back to the channel for another update on Gala. So, is GalaGames still going down to our price target of 1 cent? Let's talk about it. Now, first of all, we're going to start off on the lower time frame, zoom out a little bit, zoom out even further, and then finish off on the oscillators for today. And also talk very briefly about Bitcoin. So, the first chart that I want to show you is over on the daily time frame, and this is this SFP chart. Now, if you haven't heard of SFPs before, it's basically a swing failure pattern. A lot of the time, for example, if we come over to the weekly, you can see over here, this is the Gala Binance chart. Of course, listing prices are very important, especially on large exchanges like Binance and Coinbase. Basically, GalaGames got listed right here at 2 cents over on Binance, and we obviously had a massive pump because of it. So this 2 cent level was very important. Now, if we do come over to the daily time frame, what you can see is we had a range low sweep SFP, which basically means you had a swing failure pattern. We tried to break to the downside of this 2 cent pattern, and we had a huge move back up. Now, what happened when we came up to the top of this range is you can see over on the daily time frame, we've got resistance here that was previously established at 4.9 cent, just underneath the psychological level of 5 cent. Of course, we tried to come up to 5 cent, the psychological level. Obviously, a lot of people were going to be shorting from 5 cent. So we broke to the downside, established this resistance, had a swing failure pattern beneath the floor, and broke up. And as you can see, we've just established a range high sweep, also known as a range high SFP. So we've had a swing failure pattern. We've tried to break above this previous high, and we've broken back down to the downside. So in my opinion, we are looking at this daily chart. Of course, we've been talking about the 2 cent price target for months and months since GalaGames was at, much higher price targets, 25 cent, 20 cent. I forget when we flipped bearish on this, but we've obviously been calling for 2 cent for a while. We came down and filled our price target. So, 1 cent is the next psychological level that I still do have my eyes on. Now, what's interesting is if you're looking at the daily time frame, yes, you can see this range high sweep right here at 4.9 cent. But if we zoom out a little bit further, go over to a different chart over on Coinbase, what you can see, once again, highlighting the importance of listing prices, especially on big exchanges. You can basically see, as soon as Gala was listed on Coinbase, we absolutely rocketed up. And as soon as we came down to the listing price over on Coinbase and we lost it, a huge move soon ensued. But what I want to show you is, if you're looking at this range high here, bear in mind we're on the weekly time frame. So this data point right here is this data point right here. Now, if we draw this out a bit, you can also see range lows were established before this was a range high. So you can see this was a range low, range low, range low, and we had a swing failure pattern right down here. Swing failure, move up to the upside, and it ended up, pretty much emming out back down to the downside. All I'm highlighting here is this was a previous range low, you broke up, and this was once again a range high. So, we've been double rejected from this previous range low that was support, flip resistance, back tested it once, flipped as resistance, and now on the daily time frame, once again, we've just had a range high sweep failure. So once again, looking at these charts, it looks like we are getting ready to break back down to the downside. We'll look at the oscillators in just one moment to show you, how quickly or how likely it is that we start breaking back down in the immediate short term. But before we do head over to that, let's go over to the weekly time frame and let's just look at the volume profiles. Also, let's pull up the bull market support bands. I believe Binance has been trading for longer than Coinbase, so weekly time frame, 15th of November, 13th of September. So yeah, we'll use this one. If we do also come over to the bull market support bands, you can basically see since these spawned in over on the Binance chart, you popped your head above it and that was a top, you broke back down, you popped your head back into it, you broke back down, you came up and touched it right here and you broke down. And once again, we've poked our head above the bull market support bands. Now, every time we've done this, we've soon come down and made new lows. What's interesting about this is over here, we actually made new lows pretty much instantly. But over here, you had more or less like a double top with a slanted top to the downside. And over here, we've got a double top with a slanted top to the upside. So while we are still at this moment in time above the bull market support bands, the price target you need to keep your eyes on for these bull market support bands is right down here at 3.5 cent. This is a pretty monumental drop from where we're currently sitting at right now, but do bear in mind, it is possible that we have a lot further to break back down to the downside. This is about a 25% drop, and then of course if we do lose this, it's going to be looking like we're probably going to be forming something like a bark pattern and heading all the way back down to the downside. In fact, on the 4 hour, it seems like, you know, this could already be, you know, the BART pattern. So I'm pretty sure, at least in my opinion, that GalaGames has already started to top out. Let's get rid of this chart and then head over to the volume profiles, because I do want to keep this chart as it is. So over here, this is one thing that I do want to show you. If we get rid of these fibs for just one moment, you can basically see, you know, we've drawn a volume profile, fixed volume profile from the start of when Gala was trading over on KuCoin, 9th of August 2021, all the way up, incorporating all of this data that was previously traded. Apart from this most recent swing pump, we can amend this, drag this over to incorporate new data. But once again, as you can see right here, the VPVR, where the most amount of volume has been previously traded, also beautifully lines up with this range high, and it also lines up with this previous range low that was flipped as the range high. So, you know, this area right here, this orange box on the weekly time frame, this red line over here on the daily time frame where we just had an SFP failed move, and also this lines up with the volume profile. So we've come up, we've grabbed liquidity very quickly, and, you know, once again, as we've grabbed liquidity, it looks like it would be getting ready for that next move back down to the downside. Now, if we do pull up the Fibonacci's just very quickly, and also amend this chart because I do want to be taking into consideration the data that is trading right now in the future. So let's drag this out. Once again, VPVR hasn't changed really from anything over here. But if we do look at how GalaGames is trading right now, you can see what's very interesting is the last Fibonacci we drew, we actually came almost right down to this 2 extension on the fib. We came down to 1.55 cent, and this was basically sitting at 1.45 cents. So we've basically completed this fib move. Of course, you know, if we are going to complete the rest of the 2 extension, we should head down to new lows at 1.4. But if we do look at this Fibonacci, the most recent one from the swing low up to the swing high, you can see if we do come down to the 1.236, this is actually going to land us down to round about, you know, 0.006, so just underneath 1 cent, which personally isn't my price target in the immediate short term. It is a price target that I would keep my eyes on, especially as GalaGames comes down to 1 cent. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that we like to take things one price target at a time, and my price target for GalaGames in the immediate short term is the same price target that I've been mentioning in my previous videos. Like we said, we came down to 2 cent, which we were predicting for a while. After we came down to 2 cent, I gave you my new price target in the macro time frame down at 1 cent. Bear in mind, I really don't trade GalaGames. I'm very specific with what altcoins I trade. I don't particularly like trading altcoins with low market cap. I much prefer trading high market cap altcoins. I pretty much only trade Solana and KDA. Every now and then I might trade something else, but just to let you know, when I'm giving you these price targets, I'm not trading this. I'm purely looking at this, telling you where I think we're going to go down to in the higher time frame. So once again, it does look like we're going to be coming down to 1 cent. GalaGames is something that I could see myself potentially buying when I do see the markets finally getting ready for a pivot. But nonetheless, I don't see that pivot in sight anytime soon, which is why, once again, 1 cent is my price target for the immediate short term. If we do come down and hit 1 cent, I will reevaluate the markets. I'll let you know, do I think we're bottoming? Do I think we're getting ready to push back up? Or are we going to be heading down to that next fib level at 0.06, which would be another 40% drop from where we currently are? So where we're sitting at this moment in time, I do believe GalaGames is prepping for another 76.6% drop all the way back down to the downside. Now, as I'm predicting a pretty nasty drop, and as I just showed you, you know, this weekly time frame rejection from these previous swing lows, double top, and also as we talked about the daily time frame, how I do believe this is going to end up being a range high sweep, swing fail pattern, meaning, you know, once again, this was a failed move and we're going to break quickly back down to the downside, just like this range low sweep swing failure pattern was a failed move with a quick move back up to the upside. This would be indicative, once again, a quick move down to 1 cent in the next month or so. But with that, as I'm predicting a nasty drop, 76%, and as I think, if you didn't gather from the video already, I do think GalaGames has topped out. I don't think we're going to be pushing any higher than 0.5, or basically 5.6 cent will be topped out. Let's look at the oscillators and see if the oscillators are in agreement that we've topped out, and then let's wrap up the video. So starting off on the daily with the squeeze momentum indicator. The squeeze momentum indicator has just ticked into dark green, indicative that, you know, we have just finished, or you know, we could just be finishing a bullish trend, and we could be getting ready for a nasty move back down. Now, Now, I have to zoom out really far to even find a move that is on par with this most recent capitulation. The only move that is the only bullish move that was anywhere near as significant as this bullish move over on Gala was all the way back down here on the 30th of March. And as you can see, on the 31st of March, the squeeze momentum indicator started ticking bearish. So let's see what happened the last time that we had a huge move up like this, and the squeeze mom was predicting a move back down. We moved from 15 cent all the way up to 29 cents, so basically a 2x. And as you can see, as soon as squeeze mom started ticking into dark green, we started to absolutely landslide. Over on the MFI on the daily, we've just approached 98, which, you know, once again, you have to zoom out super far. This is actually over on the KuCoin pair, which is, I believe, one of the oldest trading pairs, at least on a centralized exchange that you can find over on TradingView. The amount of money that has flown into this market is ridiculous. And right now, GalaGames is more overextended than it's ever been. Well, we've started to come down on the MFI, so do bear in mind we have been higher than this, but every time we've come up to this level, massive meltdown, massive meltdown, massive meltdown. We're more overextended than ever, and we're breaking down. The stochastic RSI on the daily time frame has gone all the way up to... It went all the way up to 100. It crossed bearish, flipped bullish, double top, broke back down, and flipped bearish again. And we're currently tumbling. So daily time frame is really telling me that we're going to start moving down like this. We're going to start moving down very quickly. Over on the weekly time frame, we are resetting back to neutral over on the squeeze mom. The last time that we reset to neutral, we actually ticked over bullish for 2 weeks, and then we started melting down. And you can see, if I clear up this chart very quickly, this tiny neutral reset, or moving into bullish territory before breaking down, was this peak over here before the meltdown into new lows, or at least new bear market lows to be precise. Over on the MFI, once again, we have not been this overextended. We're currently sitting at 71. The last time we were at 71 was around about the 14th of February. And, you know, once again, this was pretty much at the top of the bull market before breaking back down to the downside. Stochastic RSI, blue moving average, is currently sitting round about 98. And once again, this is another chart on the weekly time frame, which is just telling us that we are way too overextended right now. Liquidity flew into this market very quickly. That's pretty much all I've got for Gala. Like I said, this chart here and this chart here are probably two of the most important ones, but looking at the oscillators as well, they are in agreement with everything we've looked at. We've had a liquidity grab, we're going back down to the downside, we've had a swing failure pattern, we've re-established these previous range lows as resistance twice. And also, I know, you know, for example, a lot of people who watch crypto YouTube maybe aren't used to people who are bearish. A lot of YouTubers, most crypto YouTubers are just permabulls. So, you know, sometimes it's easier to flip the chart over on Bitcoin and to show you the bullish perspective, even though it's on the inverse chart. So, you know, if we're looking over on Bitcoin right now, what you can see is you can see the lows down here. What you can see is a move up. You can see a higher high. You can see a higher low. You can see a higher high, you can see a higher low, you can see a higher high, and it looks like we're currently establishing another higher low right now before a move back up to the upside. The only problem with this chart is it is on the inverse chart, so we are still making lower lows and lower highs at this moment in time. So Bitcoin is looking bearish. The S&P 500 is looking bearish. If you want, if this is your first time watching my channel, I don't just look at Bitcoin. I don't just look at GalaGames. I look at the stock market. I look at Fed commentary. I look at liquidity conditions. We look at the equity markets. We look at the bond markets. I'm not the typical crypto YouTuber who just looks at altcoins and Bitcoin and, you know, does TA on these. My opinion has been formulated from tons and tons of research on the S&P 500, Bitcoin, the greater markets, equity markets, Fed commentary, and because of all of this, my opinion is still that GalaGames is coming down to this magnet at 2 cents. It's going to lose it. This is going to be a successful swing to the downside, and then we're going to come down to the next macro price target down at 1 cent. That's all I've got for you today, my friends. As always, I'll update you if I think anything's changed. I'll update you if I change my price target. If you don't hear anything from me in the immediate short term, if you don't hear anything from the next video, then of course 1 cent is still my price target. If you enjoy the content, let me know down below by leaving a like and a comment. Share the videos with your friends, and if you do want more posts, charts, economic data from me, memes, all that good stuff, be sure to head over to my Twitter at 618_Cowboy. But for today, that's all I've got. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out. Peace.